We're putting up with a little midweek rain. It's actually the New Year's weekend that has some people looking at the single digits and going, oh no. We'll have the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
Also, Europe struggles with soaring COVID cases. We'll hear about plans to slow down the spread.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Be weather aware if you've got New Year's plans because the cold is coming. Thanks for joining us on the KOAM News at Noon. I'm Bronte Sorotsky. Even with overcast skies and morning rain, out temperatures stay above normal. That's about to change as 2022 rolls closer.
Is it ever?
Yeah, Michael joins us with a first look at weather.
Bronte, by the time we get into the beginning of 2022, Mother Nature is going to come back and remind us that we have officially hit winter. Now, with that being said, it's a great thing that for the past 2 days we've been well above normal because the rain once again continuing in from the southwest, working out to the northeast. Right down here upon the Oklahoma-Missouri state line is where we're seeing the hardest rain. Just moved out of northwest Arkansas. Haven't really picked up any lightning involved with this, and then we put on the storm tracks to give you a general idea of where this all is moving. So everybody out to the west, north, even the central portion of the 4 states is going to remain dry. Even over 7th and Rangeline, we've seen very limited rain activity. It's been very light. And 43 degrees, hey, at the end of December, that's pretty much on par for where we'd normally be. Luckily, we escaped the rain out to the far northwest because temperatures are hovering right at, if not below, the freezing mark. See a 31 right there in Iola. Every place where it has rained, pretty much mid-40s to mid-50s. All right, this storm system right here, as it moves off to the east, that's going to be the greatest threat for severe weather in the contiguous 48. Really not going to bother us. And tomorrow, we'll be fine tomorrow. It'll be nice and dry. But coming up here in just a little bit, Bronte, we're going to break down exactly why we go from 63 to the 20s. And you'll notice whenever you just do a general number like that, that means the cold front just plummets us down to single digits just in time for the new year.
Thanks, Michael. Roofing industry icon Ethel May Humphreys passed away Monday at 94 years old. Humphreys is the daughter of TAMCO founder E.L. Gregg and was considered to be the matriarch of the roofing industry. She was named executive vice president and took control of the day-to-day operations of TAMCO in 1950. Humphreys helped grow TAMCO from a small manufacturer in Joplin to one of the largest roofing manufacturers in the country. Authorities in Elk County, Kansas identified the 2 people killed last Thursday outside a home in Longton. The KBI and Elk County Sheriff's Office say the victims are Robert Stricker and Dwayne Smith of Longton. Authorities say Stricker and Smith were shot, and the person they believe to be the shooter died from an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound. The investigation is ongoing. Kansas releases its statewide housing needs assessment. The report says some of the key factors impacting housing in southeast Kansas are housing values, low wages, housing demand, and lack of modern rental opportunities. Pittsburgh City Manager Darren Hall says he's aware of the challenges facing the region and his community. Hall says he knows there are issues the city faces for growth, including the ability to retain workers who commute.
You know, having a good place to eat, a quality place to eat, something that's a little different when your family does have a chance to get together. You don't have to, go to the grocery store and make it at home. You can just pop out somewhere. I think those are all a big part of having a huge impact on a family and letting them feel like Pittsburgh's a place for them.
There's a lot of information available in the report, and it's broken up into 2 parts, a statewide review and a regional assessment. We've put links to both in this story over at KOAMnewsnow.com. Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt says he probably will not get a COVID-19 booster shot, even though health experts are encouraging everyone who is vaccinated to do so. Stitt says he's perfectly healthy and that his doctor hasn't told him he needs it. Last year, Stitt was the nation's first governor to confirm he contracted COVID-19. He got the Johnson & Johnson vaccine in March. Governor Stitt and legislative leaders say despite record high revenue available to spend next year, they expect most agency budgets to remain flat. A state panel led by Stitt learned there will be more than $10 billion available to spend for the fiscal year that begins July 1st. But Stitt and Senate Appropriations Committee Chairman Roger Thompson said after the meeting they want to keep at least $2 billion in reserves. The legislature last year approved about $8.3 billion in spending and set aside more than $700 million in savings. Topping World Watch, Europe grapples with soaring COVID cases, with many countries breaking their own single-day records for new cases. Many European governments are implementing new restrictions to try to tamp down transmission. Charlie De Agata has the story. He's in London.
The streets of Paris would normally be packed over the festive period, but not after France reported a record high, nearly 180,000 cases in a single day. People have been asked to work from home 3 days a week, and New Year's Eve celebrations have been called off too. Sure, a lot of people will be disappointed the fireworks are canceled, he says, especially in Paris, but we have to stop this contagion. They're not alone. Italy, Greece, Portugal, and England all reported record one-day highs. Although early studies suggest Omicron may be causing milder illness than previous variants, Reading University's Dr. Simon Clark warned Omicron should not be underestimated.
We are in a situation where we don't know with any surety at all how many people are going to end up in hospital. So while we don't know that, we cannot design those restrictions to bring down the number of infections by the level that is needed.
New, stiffer lockdowns across Europe include shutting nightclubs and canceling large-scale events. Germany has banned groups of more than 10 from gathering in order to discourage New Year's Eve parties. Yet England decided not to impose any further restrictions, instead pushing for people to get vaccinations and boosters. It's a confusing picture.
If they get this right and don't lock down or don't impose further restrictions when they don't need to, they will be hailed for that. But if they get it wrong, there will be serious political trouble if they end up filling the hospitals with people struggling to breathe.
And this is the same situation we may be looking at in the United States.
Exactly. It's the same situation any government is looking at.
The World Health Organization has issued a new warning that Omicron could overwhelm global health systems. Here in the UK, Prime Minister Boris Johnson says the vast majority of patients in intensive care have not had booster shots. Charlie D'Agata, CBS News, London.
This news from Europe comes as the U.S. hits a record 7-day case average of 262,034 cases on Tuesday. That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at Noon, we continue our year in review.
Open for business. The second year of the pandemic brought economic comebacks and stock market swings. I'm Diane King Hall at the New York Stock Exchange with a roundup of the seesaw year in business.
And later, why it's okay to ditch the red sauce and go for eggs and bacon from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. This Year in Money tops today's Consumer Watch. While the pandemic kept its grip on the financial world, there were plenty of other business headlines in 2021. Reporter Diane King Hall has a look at the year's biggest business stories.
Media flexed its muscle in 2021. Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube banned former President Trump after the January 6th attack on the Capitol, saying his words could incite violence.
You cannot use our services to say things which we think deliberately can lead to harm.
Small investors mobilized in a buying frenzy over GameStop shares. The stock of the troubled retailer soared, costing hedge funds who had bet against it billions of dollars. The pandemic bought some extra time for taxpayers. For the second year, the tax filing deadline was postponed to give people more time to navigate unusual circumstances.
I've never seen anything like this, have you?
Drivers felt pain at the pump, from the cyber attack on Colonial Pipeline to damage from Hurricane Ida. The laws of supply and demand made gasoline nearly 50% more expensive than it was a year ago. Bernie Madoff, who pulled off the biggest Ponzi scheme in history, died in prison. He was 82 and serving a 150-year sentence for swindling thousands of investors. Peloton recalled about 125,000 treadmills after they were linked to dozens of injuries and the death of a child. A former employee blew the whistle on Facebook, telling Congress the social media giant knew it was causing harm.
So Facebook knows
that they are leading young users to anorexia content.
Weeks later, the tech giant changed its name to Meta as part of a larger rebranding.
We're going to be metaverse first, not Facebook first.
The unemployment rate dropped back to 4.2% as employers scrambled to find workers.
We're trying to hire more baristas, we're trying to hire cooks.
But American workers had different ideas. 4.4 million quit their jobs in September and another 4.2 million in October in a trend known as the Great Resignation.
The pandemic may have influenced it in that I think it changed my mindset.
Pandemic shutdowns led to a global shortage of computer chips used in everything from cars to smartphones. And traffic jams at ports contributed to disruptions in the supply chain, with retailers running low on stock, including Christmas trees.
We do have a shortage this year, and that's a big problem.
Lower stock meant higher prices, and with inflation climbing at the fastest pace in 40 years, President Biden nominated Jerome Powell for a second term as head of the Federal Reserve. More investors joined the crypto craze, with Bitcoin touching record highs, while a similar theme played out on Wall Street, the stock market overcoming a world of worries to continue its bull run. Diane King Hall, CBS News, New York.
Tonight at 10, we'll look back at a year in politics. Still to come on the KOAM News at Noon, Mr. Food.
I hope you're hungry, because today's recipe is one you'll definitely want seconds of, maybe even thirds.
But first, Michael Hayslip returns with your complete forecast.
Still got to hold on to the umbrella for just a little bit longer for the southern portion and east part of the 4 states. And rain hasn't been too bad over 7th and Rangeline, but we do still have some pockets coming down, especially this band right here, lasting from McDonald County up through Newton County. Neosho taking the brunt of it right now. Does just turn into showers, and we haven't had any lightning. That's a good thing about this. And we look at our rain going back to yesterday. Now we're starting to pick up about 1.25 to 1.5 inches where we see those green pockets right there. Haven't had so much out here. That's all from yesterday. But now we see around and south of I-44 beginning to catch up with what we needed for an abnormally dry month of December. This beast right here, that's going to be problematic. It's not going to affect us. But when we transition down to portions of even Louisiana, Arkansas, into Mississippi and southern Tennessee, that's a tornado watch. That right there, that is a newly spawned tornado warning. And so that's something that we'll keep our eyes on nationally speaking throughout the course of the afternoon and evening as we see that in the critical area. And elevated, that's going to end up being in the red right there. That's going to be in the high area. Let's go back to 7th and Rangeline where we sit at 43 degrees. That's kind of hard to beat this year. Normal average high would be about 46. It has been below freezing, if not right at, for the northwest portion of the 4 states, and we're not going to see much of a warm-up today. We went ahead and tempered down the 7-day forecast as far as our highs goes. But with that being said, average high this time of year, 45, and we're still on pace to have the warmest December on record. That's about 100 years of historical data keeping at Joplin Regional Airport, or the Joplin area. And yeah, this is going to be the warmest December we've ever had. But look at the big change compared to where we were at this point in time yesterday, anywhere from about 15 to 25 degrees difference. Jetstream doesn't want to change, but at least it's taking everything down to our southeast, so we stay out of anything that's extreme. Afternoon planner, like I said, not everybody's going to reach that 51 degree mark, that is for sure. But at least we'll get a little clearing here for the afternoon, much cooler to the north and out to the west. Let's go ahead and talk about the holiday weekend, because Thursday is going to be dry, temperatures up into the 50s. Now Friday evening, if you're out and about, it's going to start as rain. It'll stay as rain really until after midnight. Try to get home. Don't be out late on Saturday morning, late Friday night, early Saturday morning, because look at this. Cold front, we're starting to flip over. We've got freezing rain, and we're going to end up with snow. Bronte, look at this 7-day forecast and check out the bottom line in between Saturday and Sunday.
Wow.
That's our overnight low.
Yikes.
That's not a wind chill. That's an actual temperature.
That's a huge change from what we were seeing.
We'll see wind chills in the negatives for Saturday night into Sunday morning. And tomorrow morning, you and I on the morning news, we'll start talking about making sure people take care of outdoor plumbing.
Definitely. Thank you. It's now time for us to pay tribute to one of our many 4-state heroes. Today, we honor Derek Campbell of Joplin, Missouri. Campbell served as a staff sergeant in the U.S. Air Force and fought in Operation Iraqi Freedom. We thank you, our four-state hero. If you love spaghetti but crave something other than traditional red sauce, don't worry, Howard's got you covered. In fact, once you try this creamy, bacony sauce, you may never go back. Throw in some Parmesan cheese, an egg, a little salt and pepper, and you've got a perfect spaghetti carbonara. Make sure you bring an appetite to the table today in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Pretty much everyone loves spaghetti, but sometimes wouldn't it be nice to top it with something other than the traditional red sauce? Well, today we're doing just that by making what is known as spaghetti carbonara. And once you taste the creamy bacony sauce that makes this come to life, there's a pretty good chance you're not going to rush back to that bottled red sauce. We start by cooking a package of spaghetti. Once it's tender, we drain it really well. Next, we saute some bacon, chopped onions, and garlic in a skillet until the bacon is crispy and the onions start to caramelize. Now, in the pasta pot, we whisk together some half and half Parmesan cheese, an egg, and a bit of salt and pepper. Once the sauce starts to thicken up, we add our cooked pasta and the bacon mixture. A quick toss and it's ready to serve. That's all there is to it. Maybe top it off with some more grated Parmesan and some chopped parsley, and it's time to ring the dinner bell. Whether you serve this as a main dish or as a side, it's sure to be the talk of the table. To get the recipe for our spaghetti carbonara, all you have to do is visit our website. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a fork twirling way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at koamnewsnow.com, and now here's a look at four-state market prices.
We'll hold on to these rain showers for the next 45 minutes to an hour as they depart off to the east-northeast. All things considered, though, let's call ourselves fortunate that December has been abnormally warm, because 2022 is going to rip in with a massive cold front. Yeah, that 9-degree right there in between Saturday and Sunday, that is not a misprint.
Yeah, we wish that was one digit short. Maybe you could add a 4 or 5 to the beginning of that. No, I guess not. Here's what's coming up at 5. New vehicles will soon need alert systems to prevent kids from being left in hot cars. A provision in the new infrastructure law requires automakers to install backseat alert systems in all new cars. We're going to take a look at how that technology works. Plus, a new program that partners a local organization with Joplin's Alternative School. Check out the supplies needed for students and see how you can help. And a local towing company offers safer options for potential drunk drivers on New Year's Eve. Hope you join us for those stories. A lot more, of course. KOAM News at 5.
Thanks for joining us for KOAM News at noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.